squad, SKT with their Faker, Africa Freaks with Keen, and King's Own Peanut, of course, the bottom lane from the now, I believe, Jinju Gaming as well.
And on the other side, you've got ourselves the Chinese superstar roster, Xie, MLXG, Let Me, and Ming. You can see the bans on your screen as we are now getting into this. No way Uzi is getting his hands on that Kaisa. And interestingly enough, we're also seeing the Yasuo banned away from Faker, despite his performance that we saw in the game against Chinese Taipei. But here comes the Aurelia first pick. Again, this is patch 8.10. No surprise, huge priority on that Aurelia.
Yeah, very strong champion right here. It can be flexed as well. There really isn't a lot of bad matchups in the mid lane against Aurelia, so I'm not really surprised about that first lock-in. And just to talk about it, these teams, you know, Peanut has definitely seen what Uzi can do at MSI. They had such a huge lead, but Uzi was able to take it all away with it. All that away with a single play at the end of Game 4. So definitely no Kaisa. I don't think we're going to see Kaisa from the entire tournament.
Especially not for Uzi at the very least. But Rakan is now the pickup for Core JJ. Again, this is patch 8.10, so 80 carries still employed. As we have said so eloquently in the other one, they still have a job. They haven't been nerfed yet during that early laning phase. So we will get the lovers duo of Xayah and Rakan out of Ruler and Core JJ.
And we do see Let Me here taking up one of his strongest champions in the Ornn. Great play against a lot of the carry type of top laners at MSI. Can he do it against Keen's Darius right here is the big question, because Darius has been shooting up the rankings as well. He's incredibly good into tank champions, and Singed is as well.
Yeah, that's pretty good too. Running around with the Singed. We saw Keen get to play against the Chinese Taipei game just a moment ago, and now we're going to get to see how he plays it himself. Does he play the same style that we saw out of PK just a bit earlier? But we're now getting into this second phase of bans. We've got ourselves a nice tanky front line for the Korean roster, that Singed, that Rakan to set up and engage for the Xayah. They've still got some flexibility in the mid lane for Faker, knowing that Aurelia is likely going to Xie in the mid lane, unless the Ornn is surprise swapped down to support or something.
Yeah, definitely not. The few Aurelia counters we have seen have actually been Gangplank and Bruiser type of champions in the mid lane against her. That's just because Aurelia's burst damage is very consistent, and the only way you outplay her is if you can out-tank her entire combo.
Essentially try to survive. I think that's why we might see that Karma banned away by Korea on the opposite side, and maybe the Lulu taken away by China, just in case they were looking at the champion themselves. Now Xin also banned away from MLXG. Still, this is patch 8.10. Huge incentive on those Scuttle Crabs. Constant river control is something that gives massive rewards in this patch. And we saw what happened to Peanut when he didn't get jungle control against Bebe.
It basically snowballs one way or the other. That basically is a good recap of how the meta works at this point. If you look at the junglers, I think they are setting up for an Olaf. The traditional counter has been taken away in the Trundle as well. So this is kind of an interesting draft phase, because if I'm Korea, I would probably just go for the Olaf. To kind of round out my composition and work with Peanut's strengths.
And that's what we see right here. The Olaf is now locked in for Peanut. That means MLXG is going to have to dig a little bit deeper for his own champion pool. Of course, he's got himself quite the large champion pool to pull from, despite the 4 bans that have just been levied. Sorry, 5 if you include that Skarner. Just take away everything you can. Deny that jungle so much. Try to limit it down to the lanes. That looks like that's what Korea's strategy is. We'll see if that's going to work for them, as now we've got the Janna locked in for Ming in the bottom lane. Janna, Ezreal. Oh boy.
Yeah,
and this is pre-Ezreal nerfs.
They want to get away from the Singed as much as possible. There's also going to be an Olaf and Rakan chasing them. I'm not really surprised about this pick, but overall it does give Korea 2 strong side lanes that they can push the enemy team into, and with an Olaf that can constantly invade. It's not a very easy early game for China to survive.
We're going to see if they will be able to, as Lee Sin is the final lock-in for MLXG. They have got a lot of physical damage on their composition, so they might just try to end the game before it gets too late, before that Xayah becomes an absolute monster. We did see the Camille hover from Korea a moment ago, and it's actually going to be locked in here, so that's likely going to be Camille in the top lane up
Camille
against that Ornn.
Well, it basically is. China team is trying to play a very disengage-oriented team. They do have the Aurelia ultimate to help with them as well, and they're going to try to keep their main damage dealer in Uzi alive. This is basically about protect the Uzi composition, and for the Korean side, I think they learned a lesson or two after the game with Chinese Taipei, which I believe this is after that game, and they're going for a full engage style of composition. It's very easy to catch people here. It's very easy to group. They should have side lane controls as well. So overall, I do favor Korea's composition a little bit. I think it's more diverse, and it can take more hits going along. I just don't see how you're going to fully engage with Camille, Singe, and Rakan running at you at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, they do have the attempted disengage with Ming on that Janna to try and pull people back. Maybe the Dragon Rage kick out of MLXG to further kick people away, but that initial onslaught of damage is going to be quite scary. Perhaps just the dogpile composition from Korea.
Yeah, there really isn't many points that they can snowball off of early on the Chinese side. Like, I think the early game is going to be completely one-sided, actually, towards Korea, and the only thing that I would see changing going forward is actually just MLXG being able to maybe hunt Peanut down once or twice in the jungle with his Lee Sin counterpick. Aside from that, there really aren't many points where China can kind of latch onto the early game.
Ming stepping forward, eats the knock-up. That's already a lot of burn. The Ignite ticking down. First blood to Korea. Core JJ picks it up as Uzi will actually harass Ruler and Core JJ on the way out. 1v2, knows they've used their cooldowns, and is able to trade right on back.
Great solid cheese coming out from Korea. We've seen this being done over and over again from the Zaya and Rakan bot lanes right there. I'm actually a little bit surprised that Ming did not have Uzi try to check the brush. Instead, he just walked in and face planted himself into a first blood.
Yeah, maybe a bit of a mistake there, but we do have a double buff start out of MLXG. He goes blue to red and is now what appears to be heading over towards that Raptor camp. Might not be looking for an early scuttle, as there is early river vision out of Korea to keep an eye on that bottom side Scuttle Crab, perhaps unlock it for Peanut. But like you said, that Olaf jungling at low health, that could just be to keep him safe.
Yeah, he definitely knows that on the bottom side, at least, they do have full control because they just got a first blood off of Ming. So he's pretty happy to be low health and staying in the bottom side quadrant. If I'm MLXG, I'm looking at the map. The only point I feel like I can actually get some kills would be the top lane with the CC coming out from Ornn. So I do like his pathing here. He did do double buffs, and then now he's heading back straight towards the top lane. Might be able to find himself an opportunity here against Keen.
There already is a defensive ward placed on top of the Gromp, so unless there's some creative pathing from MLXG, he's going to be spotted here. Actually, yeah, he is pathing back around and avoiding the Gromp for now, as Peanut will finish off the first Scuttle Crab on that bottom side. MLXG starting the exact same one on the other side. I'm curious to see if he's going to pull back into the jungle and look for the Gromp, or maybe try to wrap around and get behind Keen right now. But Keen is already playing it safe, pushing back into the turret instead. It's Faker who steps forward. Xie looking for the stun. Tosses it out. Faker with the immediate sidestep flash. Doesn't want to risk it seeing MLXG show up.
Yeah, doesn't want to get hit by the stun. I was actually quite surprised by that because they did have the minion wave advantage, and also Peanut was right next to him. So even if he didn't flash right there, I don't think he would have died, or they probably would have won the 2v2 as well. So a bit of a curious decision right there. There was actually 5 minions in that wave if Lee Sin was going to come in. It does look like miscommunication between Faker and Peanut.
Perhaps.
From my side.
Yeah, perhaps it could be. Or just the immediate reaction, hey, I'm going to play it safe and play the long laning phase. I don't have to worry about going in right now, as Grand Entrance is ready. Uzi teleports right into the lane. Even MLXG waiting behind him just in case. Core JJ, we're going to look for the all-in, but still Korea playing it safe in this bottom lane after taking that early advantage with their first kill.
And we do see this with Ezreal's and basically Caitlyn's and all the AD carries as well at this point. You do want to use the teleport and get back to lane. It does make your item spikes a little bit faster. You don't spend as much time walking down, and this is kind of the new meta ever since 8.10.
And with that, Uzi's not going to miss too many minions. He's actually ahead of CS of Ruler, despite the initial first blood of losing his support with that. Of course, what else do you expect from Uzi at this point? He's playing some of the best League that he's played in his entire life and has won MSI. He's won the spring split. Nothing can really put a damper on this guy's momentum. But Peanut might be trying. That's the Predator. Ignite burning down. He's still got the flash, but Peanut is sitting on top of his own. Uzi flashes away and survives with barely a tick of health. It's as if the fates themselves have intervened to keep this man alive.
He held on to his flash for so long. That was actually amazing calculations, because most players would have flashed a lot faster. Once the ignite hit, they don't want any chance of them actually going down, but Uzi playing it so calm and collectively, able to walk away with his life still. It was actually amazing.
Yeah, playing down to the wire. That's Ocean Dragon picked up now by Korea off the back of that play. They just collapsed their advantage into the river, and Peanut will turn onto the Scuttle Crab right after. So a completely different performance than his game earlier against Bebe. And that's going to help set up the jungler of Korea to help impact these lanes a little bit more. We've already seen a good first Predator usage. Now he just needs to revisit and look for an actual kill this time.
And this is just the strength coming out from the side lanes. You see King doing work in the top, and also the bot lane with the early kills as well. It gives Olaf so many places to operate. On the flip side, there really isn't enough damage or CC in many of these lanes to actually secure kills for MLXG. So unlike his normal playstyle, he's actually playing very conservative, just farming up. He probably wants to hit 6 before Peanut, and that's when he can really start influencing.
And for now, that does mean that Uzi gets the time to continue stacking up. Xie doing the same as he's just sitting on the Sheen, but MLXG might be looking to roam top. Keen, let's see if he takes the bait, gets that brittle popped, but decides not to go for it. Yeah, still very safe play outside of the roam from Peanut. And again, these are the two expected super teams coming into the Asia Games. These are the two heavy favorites of this conference.
Yep, we do have 6 teams in the East Asian qualifier, and these 2 teams are probably everyone's favorites to go through. You know, they actually kind of represent their own regions in a sense, unlike LMS, which was actually split up into 3 different regions. So I would say these 2 teams are definitely the ones to watch.
And with these super teams, they should be putting on a super performance. At least that's the hope, as Keen continues to catch minions. 7 CS down, and Let Me just controlling this wave. This Ornn having a great time against Keen's Camille. Recall, let's actually see if it's completed from Keen, because this wave is about to crash. That's another 6 minions that he might be missing out on. And immediately teleports right back in. So now that means teleport won't be on the map for just a little bit. That could give a window of opportunity for MLXG and the rest of China to look for an opening elsewhere on the map.
Of course, they are spotted down here. I'm actually surprised they aren't giving Keen a little bit more vision control into the top lane, because he can actually win that matchup.
Yeah.
The reason he's not trading and going all in is because he doesn't know where MLXG is. There is no vision on the top side, and I think that could be given to him a little bit more, but of course Korea is placing their eggs into the bot lane basket of Ruler and Core JJ, and Peanut really hasn't been up there.
It seems as though this comes back to the communication that we were talking about. Again, this is not a 5-man roster that has played collectively. These are players from multiple rosters. So we saw what happened when Faker had Peanut behind him, saw a gank coming and immediately panicked and flashed away. Perhaps we could be seeing Peanut doing the same thing, not exactly communicating out where that Lee Sin is, but it looks like Korea might be setting up for a dive bottom. MLXG shows himself. 3 members versus 4. Teleport ready for Let Me, but Keen is ready with the Hextech ultimatum and hookshot to deny it. Instead, though, Korea just decide to back out and reset.
I think that was a good idea. If you look at the control ward placement in the first brush, if Aurelia managed to teleport at that place and it turned into a 4v4, Korea would not be walking away happy with that. So they do back off. They do anticipate that there probably is a little bit too many teleport avenues into this lane.
Ooh, MLXG lands the Sonic Wave, follows it up, immediately turns onto the Rakan instead. Roar, oh wow, Core JJ caught by Uzi's True Shot Barrage, and that's the first kill to China.
Good play by MLXG right there, just reading the mind game so well, and the positioning as well, getting behind Core JJ. Core JJ did not flash in time. He did not anticipate that he would be the one taking the Dragon's Rage.
And that's going to pass over that kill to Uzi, already 7 CS ahead, as Peanut finishes off the blue buff for himself. Meanwhile, Faker, he's actually roaming towards that top side of the map. Could be looking for Let Me, who immediately flashes back, as Peanut will finish off clearing out his own jungle here.
Yep, definitely doesn't want to be caught up by the Camille. Camille does hold on to her ultimate right there, so Let Me basically has to stay incredibly safe in this lane. And it's an interesting phase because if you look at Korea's team composition, what they're going to do is they're going to play the 1-3-1 later on and have Faker be consistently in one of these side lanes. The question here is, though, that they do need to take down one of these side lane towers before they can really start transitioning into that phase.
And that safety that we're seeing out of Uzi on this Ezreal, the safety we're seeing from Let Me actually still in the top lane, is preventing those side lane turrets from going down. Not to mention MLXG, we saw that awesome play down in the bottom lane. He's been remarkably mobile across the map as well. Anytime he thinks he has an opportunity or he thinks he might be able to just push up into the river and put some pressure on, he's supporting these side lanes in such a way that makes it difficult for Korea to break down these side turrets.
I would like to revise that statement. He is supporting Uzi.
Oh, yes, of course.
He's been down there most of the time. Just basically skipping around that bot lane. He's giving up so much of his own farm just to do that.
Keen, ooh, sidestepping out of that with the Hextech Ultimatum. I suppose that's an overhead step by leaping over the battering ram of that Call of the Forge God, but Let Me just keeping his top lane opponent occupied up there.
I love this play from Let Me right here because he doesn't actually win the 1v1 straight out. What he's banking on is the vision control he has in River. He has a control ward there. He knows that Keen is blind, so Keen had to back off the first thing he saw when Let Me was coming in, and he's just able to bully that and transfer that into CS leads.
Now we do see the fast rotation out of Korea. Peanut and Faker unlocked from the mid lane, looking for a roam bottom, but like we said, MLXG, he's bottom lane already, sitting in Tribush, drops a control ward, and that immediate rotation and push is denied.
So I've been watching his CS score, and he's taken one camp in the past minute. He's just been staying there bot lane non-stop. He's only touched the Krugs, and he's like, Uzi, whatever you do, I just need you to get through this laning phase. You're our only damage option on this team composition.
Oh man, the moment CoreJJ steps up, Ming with the denial, MLXG leaping away again. That being said, if you do load into a game and you look across the other side and it's Faker and Ruler and Peanut, these massive names, and then in your AD carry position, it's Uzi, would you really do anything different? Well, maybe Xie would. He looks for the outplay and finds it, absolutely destroying CoreJJ with that Blade Surge.
And that's the first time we've seen Xie do anything this match. This is kind of his motto. Most of the times he's invisible, but in crucial moments he steps up and does the big play. CoreJJ without a flash right there, just being caught out completely.
Uh-oh, MLXG immediately hopping over the wall. Faker might be looking to catch up, but still MLXG has got the flashy fingers to escape and pick up red buff. Still a little bit slower behind Peanut in terms of those overall camps like you mentioned, but Xie finding the kill. Korea getting a little overzealous, perhaps looking a little frustrated at the fact that they can't break open any of these side lanes despite multiple rotation attempts.
Yeah, they do really want the bot lane right here. That's where all their eggs have been hurled at. But I think they just forgot about
hurled. They're throwing their eggs at the bottom lane.
Okay, they don't want to make an omelet, so they're definitely like putting them like lightly into that basket of CoreJJ and Ruler.
Yeah.
They probably just forgot about Chia. Like we haven't seen Chia basically the entire game, and suddenly he steps up and just kills everyone there. And you know, it's common knowledge is that you want mid lane tower. That's the most important. But in a 1-3-1 composition, side lane towers are actually more important than the mid lane tower because they allow you to stretch out the map easier. And that's something that the Korean team does have to do now. They are running double split pushers in Singe and the Camille in the top lane, and they just can't get that bottom side lane. If they can get that bottom side lane, they can get Singe into that position, they can transfer the Xayah Rakan into the mid lane, and that's going to open up the entire map because Rakan is now in a much better position to actually make plays. But it's all about this point on the map. It's all about this tower you're watching right here. This is why MLXG is going to sacrifice 20 farm and just be down here for 2 minutes just guarding that tower.
Looks like he's going to finish off that recall. Ninja Tabby finally picked up as he picks up double control ward. And like you said, starts heading back out towards this bottom half of the map. Xie still holding down the fort in that mid lane. so very tanky now that the Aurelia has finished off that Triforce. Meanwhile, Shirelia's has been finished off for Faker, not to mention the Predator's still up. Xie fancies himself a fight, just goes right in and gets flung right back out. Stun is going to be denied by Peanut's Ragnarok.
That's actually quite intelligent play. What he's doing right here is denying the potential 4v2 into the bot lane. He said, like, okay, I'm not going to kill you, but I'm going to force you to use all of your abilities, and you're going to second guess yourself if you're going to go into that dive in the bot.
Trading health for map presence is Xie. Not to mention he's still got the corrupting potion to heal himself up. Peanut, meanwhile, looks to take the blue buff. MLXG will spot him out. Xie thinking about collapsing, but here comes the rest of the duo. Ruler, CoreJJ, and Keen heading towards the mid lane, but not able to find anything, as blue buff was picked up by Xie, and I think that was Peanut actually taking that blue buff once again.
Interesting decisions right there for Peanut, in fact, to take it up. Of course, Faker probably doesn't need it at this point, so they just want a more buff Olaf so he can fight against MLXG on his own. It's probably the thought process there.
There goes the roam. Faker heading down to the bottom lane, has to use Chorelius to back away because Uzi, finishing off that Manamune, is starting to do some damage with the Sheen procs and just chip away at Ruler and CoreJJ's health. Despite both teams having an Ocean Dragon, it's just constant chip damage over here, and lane control goes to China.
That was bad acting from Ruler right there. So what they were thinking about was Faker and Peanut were in position first. That's definitely true. And Ruler wanted to bait Uzi out, but he baited probably a little bit too hard right there. Gave up too much of his HP, and now they might lose the bottom tower.
They very well could. Predator utilized. Peanut walks forward. It's down to maybe 15% of its health as MLXG walks up to clear out the wave. True Shot Barrage not quite ready for Uzi, so he's just pushing the old-fashioned wave. Here it comes. Peanut still on the side, but remember, Predator was just used. Flash engage onto Uzi. They're looking for damage, but he flashes back. MLXG with the kick will sacrifice his own life, and here is Faker from behind. He's trying to catch up to Uzi and Ming. Gets the slow. Flash exhaust. Catches Ming. The fling away, but a tornado denies. And here comes Xie. Is he going to look for the dive? It would be 3 versus 4. Still, teleport denied from both of our top laners, as I think we expected, but Xie is just going to help them push this wave instead.
Yeah, good engage coming out from CoreJJ, instantly diffusing the situation. Of course, Singe coming down as well to try and help. This is like honestly a good respite for the Korean team right here. They were pretty much on the ropes. If they actually lost that bottom lane tower, then I think it would completely flip the script. You have a lot of moving pieces roaming around right now, and then Faker doesn't have a lane where he can really go to. He's not doing much in the mid lane anymore. He can't really push that tower as a melee champion either. So it was a good save here coming out, but can they keep it up anymore? Not really.
Oh, Uzi looking for Peanut and finds a lot of damage. Not only is that first brick going to the bottom lane of China, actually taking the turret, that's Faker getting caught by MLXG and Xie, and going down at the same time. Korea falling apart.
Yeah, too much damage coming out from Xie at this point. I was actually kind of surprised that Faker decided to still go for the Reverie when he did have the option for the Righteous Glory, which would have made him a lot more durable in this type of situation. Still going for the full AP build. He does want to do damage, actually.
He's certainly trying to, but that means that is a squishy Singed. Scuttle Crab now picked up by China on that spawn, and the next dragon is up in 5 seconds, along with Baron in just over a minute. Now Faker, he's only just now respawning and doesn't have teleport, so China are actually trying to use this window of opportunity to put some pressure onto the mid lane and open up the map for themselves.
Yeah, they're definitely setting up for this big fight here. Let me's Ornhorn has just came online. He did use it in the 1v1 in the top lane previously, but if it comes down to the big 5v fight here, I'm not really sure that Korea wants to contest this head-on. All of their members have just been spotted out.
There goes the horn. Ruler is the target. He goes up and comes right back down. The knock-up and is forced to flash away as he makes the mistake on taking to the skies. And that means that with the 80 carry at such low health with no flash, Korea back away, and the Infernal Dragon is picked up by China on the back of that fight.
Yeah, there's pretty much no chance that this Korean composition is going to win a straight 5v5 against China at this point in the game. So what they were looking for was basically just a catch, but that was a great ultimate coming out from Uzi. He checked 3 brushes at the same time, caught out 4 people, and that was a lot of damage, forced everything away, and a very easy dragon take from China.
And again, this is patch 8.10. This is pre-nerf Ezreal, so we're starting to see those huge arcane shots, those huge Qs. And he's finished off his Triforce and evolved his Manamune into the Muramana. This is the time to shine for China, and they are definitely making it work. It looks like they've already set up for the lane swap. Let me hanging out in the bottom lane while Uzi and the rest of the gang head up towards that top side of the map, because there's really nothing else for them to worry about here. Yeah. And if Korea wanted to use a 1-3-1, that window of opportunity is starting to close a little bit.
And here's the big problem: if you don't have an early lead with the 1-3-1, by definition, you're a worse teamfight composition. You can't really group up to contest either. So I think Korea's options are quickly dwindling down to making catch plays with the ultimatum from Camille and the speed from Faker. That's pretty much their only game plan right now.
And there's a lot of disengage from the Chinese roster. They've got that Janna, they've got the Dragon Range, they've got even the Oran Horn from Let Me to try and escape. The side push is successful. Once again, that power spike for China with those items coming online allow them to push top before Korea can defend, set up in the tri-bush, and take another tier 1. 2 turrets to 0 and 3,000 gold for China. Hot off of an MSI win. This Chinese roster is continuing to put the nail in the coffin against this Korean lineup.
And it's just so dangerous for Korea to actually hold on to their towers right here. They don't really have enough wave clear, and there's a lot of engaged potential coming out from China as well, not to mention the poke from Uzi. Oh,
down to 2 health.
Unlucky.
Looking for the steal, but like you said, that is just unlucky with that. MLXG did have Smite, to be fair, and he did not use it, but still, Keen, he's got a great game sense here, just not quite able to make it fully effective, bring it up to bear against the rest of the Chinese roster. And this is where we have to start wondering, you know, Korea, historically, the best region in the world, does that necessarily mean they have the best players in the world?
That's a super interesting question because, you know, I personally think LPL has the biggest pool of star talent, but Korea has produced the better teams. We see that every time at Worlds. 5-man unit, when they get their coaching staff, when they go into those BO5s, they have always been dominant. But if you just play a pickup game with them, probably not the best region in the world.
Playing just the, like you said, the pick up 5 players and do what you can in 2-3 weeks. Can you that quickly turn it around? And perhaps we're starting to see why this format might be favoring, the Chinese team just a little bit. MLXG not even flashing as Peanut looking for the grand entrance 4-man pickoff. Maybe a little bit of desperation starting to show out of the Korean lineup.
Like we said 2 minutes ago, this is actually Korea's only game plan left. Their 1-3-1 is not going to work. They can't contest 5v5. They have to try to pick someone off.
Stun onto 2. The turret is getting chipped down to half. Uzi is just shredding through it so quickly. Even stepping under the turret to look for damage. Shirelli is activated by Faker, but no Reverie is going to follow as the True Shot Barrage chunks Ruler down even more. Non-stop attacks. And Ruler and Core JJ will complete the recall, leaving the mid-tier 1 undefended. This Chinese roster is relentless.
Yeah, they don't have any control mages in the mid lane for the wave clear, so that extends the poking window that Uzi does have, and he uses that brilliantly right there. Just to go back to our pickup note, we do have to mention that this Chinese team is composed of 4
RNG members.
They're naturally going to have better synergy. That's completely expected.
Yeah, the biggest change is putting in Xie in the mid lane for Xiaohu. So I suppose you could say there is a little bit more of an advantage to the Chinese roster coming into this. They have a little bit more history playing together.
This is good strategy coming out from the Olympic selection side. Like, it's actually really smart.
You love to see that happen when the rules just happen to work out in their favor. But I think this is why we're also so excited as we get into Rift Rivals as well. Because while we are seeing, again, Rift Rivals, the actual 5-man rosters, the organizations themselves starting to compete, the format is so different from Worlds, so different from MSI, that you have to start to bring out these new strategies. And this is where we're starting to see the advent of maybe a new Chinese era of the super teams starting to appear. I don't know, maybe I'm just getting a little bit ahead of myself.
The greatest thing about Rift Rivals is that you really do see the regional differences pop up. Because the teams don't, they're going for regional pride, and they're all fighting against each other, teams from the other region. So you do see the coaching staff start talking together. Last time at Rift Rivals, it was Kog'Maw from the LPL and Ash from the LCK. So a lot of differences there. You really get to define your own style. But coming back into this game, however, I think the Korean team needs to think of a solution because their gimmick is up. Like, I think they're being read too well, and you can see how MLXG is the one going in to check the brushes. He has so much mobility, he can practically walk away from anything. And poor JJ, you're stepping on a ward right now. That catch is never going to happen. What's your next plan if you can't catch and you can't 1-3-1? What are you going to do? And
take a look at even what he built. The Knight's Vow that he's paired to Uzi. While Peanut's nice and quick with that Predator, he can race around and scout out as best he can. He can escape with the Ragnarok and Flash. I don't know that he can do too much more with it, as Faker might be looking for the engage. Shirelli is activated, and the Chinese roster just backs it up. They don't have to take this fight here. They can dictate when to force the engage onto the Korean roster.
That was actually a really cute play right there. Faker knew that he couldn't fight up that ramp anyway, didn't use his ultimate. It was just, I'll try.
That's the Ornhorn. They're going to look for the knockup. Ruler takes to the skies. He's got his Flash back on cooldown and is able to reset the position. But now that's 2 ultimates missing. The Insanity Potion also utilized by Faker, just in case that fight were to break out, to only the 1 ultimate of Let Me. That means China, with the numerical advantage, just turn onto the second Infernal. Let's actually see if the next one is also going to be an Infernal. MLXG. Another Ocean.
You really hate that when you can't fight as a composition against a 5v5. So it's just not Korea's day, man.
It certainly is not. Oh, even the True Shot Barrage. It's every little thing.
That was blind. There was a control ward there.
Yeah, to deny vision, deny recalls, every little thing. You know, we used to call Vici death by 1,000 paper cuts. Well, it seems like right now Korea are the ones that are cutting themselves on the teeth of this Chinese powerhouse roster. Every tiny slip-up is costing them time, costing them gold.
This reminds me of the play that Uzi did against Fnatic, where he did that Kog'Maw Bio-Arcane Barrage straight into one of the brushes and found the entire team.
Yeah, the Fnatic brush.
He's been doing that every single time in these team fights. He knows the game plan. Korea's going to try to hide in one of these brushes, trying to get a pick off of them with the quickness, and Uzi's calling them out like every time he just,
Which brush are you in? Oh, it's probably that one. Okay, yeah, they're in that brush. Don't go there.
Just diffuses the situation right now.
I mean, it was a very expensive lesson for him to learn. I'm sure we've all had moments like that where we've had to learn just exactly the cost of face checking in a very high intensity game. Of like, I'm sure they're not in this brush, and then you make the mistake and it costs your team the whole match.
I guess we're actually second place at Worlds now.
Yeah, exactly.
That will happen.
So maybe an expensive lesson to have learned, but this is where the experience of the lineup really comes into power. Like we said, this is 4 members of RNG. They've been playing together for a long time. MLXG is looking great. Uzi is playing, again, some of the best League of Legends we've ever seen from him. And with the rest of the team set up in a composition to support that, it really creates something that Korea are struggling to deal with. And while normally we credit Korea to their composure in these difficult situations, it seems like that might be crumbling under the constant pressure that we're seeing out of Uzi firing these shots, out of Let Me split pushing in the side lane, and out of the fact that the Korea have not gotten anything but that first Ocean Dragon.
Yeah, basically the Korean team, they still have their composure, but they're running out of options. They don't really know how to continue this game. I felt that they had a really good fan pick phase. They had really good side lanes to play around, but I guarantee you the next time they face this Chinese team, they're going to say, okay, we're not going to try to take the bot lane tower against Uzi. We're going to try to take the top lane tower. I think that might have been a better game plan this time around. Keen definitely one-on-one would have gotten the advantage over Let Me just because of the champions. He just didn't have the vision to do so. And MLXG, he sacrificed himself. He had such a good read in the early game to just secure that bot lane tower.
And again, this was the bottom lane that was cheese ganked out of the brush at level 1. This is Xayah Rakan against Ezreal Janna. Xayah, who can push almost any minion wave, almost any duo lane for nearly free because of her abilities, but Uzi is still just managing to take the advantage in that landing phase, opening it up into a 20 CS lead at about 30 minutes into the game, and still getting those kills and massive, constant damage as he's just hammering arcane shot after arcane shot. Yep. And now Korea are pushed up to the tier 2s.
Korea tried to 4v2 the bot lane 4 times, and none of them succeeded.
Yeah.
Every single time it was diffused, and they just couldn't get their side lane 1-3-1 getting rolling. But MLXG might give them their chance.
You very well could. That's the call of the Forge God. Let me. Going to engage on the opposite front to help keep his team safe. Keen looking to collapse and walk in on top of that Ornn, maybe find the Ezreal unprotected, but take a look at that. He's so safe, so very far away from any chance of being engaged on. Faker split pushing against Xie. He's down a whopping 70 CS. And while that Camille is finally starting to rotate away from the Ornn and look for the Hextech ultimatum picks onto the Ezreal, Uzi is just playing so safe, there's no way that he can catch him.
Yeah, Faker's read right here is that they do lack damage in terms of the composition to really finish off people, so he is going into the AP heavy build. However, that means into the top lane, he's not going to be able to do anything against Xie. Xie doesn't mind about Singed. Like, it's very easy to catch up to Singed as an Aurelia, and you can see Faker being forced to play back, being forced to give up a lot of CS for this.
And that's opening a lot of windows of opportunity to this Chinese squad, as that means Xie is happily pushing up in these side lanes. Let Me doesn't have to worry about this Camille down in the bottom lane as long as he keeps the wave close to push, as long as he doesn't give up any turrets or side lane pressure. Then it's up to the remaining 3-man squad of MLXG, Uzi, and Ming to look for their own picks, to look for their own pressure. We're seeing some good defensive vision out of the Korean roster around this Baron pit right now, so should they find themselves out of position, it would be a major mistake, as they're even moving as a unit to clear out these wards from the Chinese roster.
Question for China right now is how do they close?
Oh, that's the engage onto Uzi. They've managed to catch up to him. He QSS's and the Monsoon to heal himself back up the Blade Caller, but he's still alive as Uzi managed to kill Core JJ through getting barraged by every ability that Ruler and the rest of the Korean roster had. The duo goes in, and they find themselves going to the graveyard.
This is just the synergy difference between the two teams. You can see Let Me was on the spot of the crime much sooner than Keen was, using his teleport to get into position. Also, Xie hiding right around the corner, probably anticipating that pick in the first place to begin with, and they're able to outplay quite heavily.
And now with the lovers duo, Romeo and Juliet, the tragedy reenacted here on Summoner's Rift. The remaining 3 members of Korea are left asking, what do we do now? Baron has been started. Uzi going to land the Ragnarok, a huge hit with the kick right on back. MLXG tries to back away. Call of the Forge God at max range is going to miss, but Faker is caught up to as the Chinese squad are chasing down these kills. Keen, nice and quick with that hook shot, able to escape, but Peanut and Faker are stalling out as best they can.
That was actually a very good play from Korea, and what they managed to do is they baited the MLXD to go after them. Once MLXD did not have enough hit points, they're like, okay, we can't do this Baron anymore. And they got a free tower off of that, so that was actually a fairly decent defense coming out from Peanut.
And that's going to keep Korea in the game. A last-second outplay to keep themselves topped up and make sure that the Chinese roster doesn't just break open with the Baron, start breaking these tier 2s and the inhibitors. But that was just one attempted play from the Chinese squad. We saw the Korean roster throw everything they had against Uzi and not manage to kill him, when now he's got the Staff of the Seraphim, now he's got that Mercurial Scimitar, and now China are starting the Baron.
Yep, and Keen still needs to get into place right here. This is a pretty dangerous Baron call from the Chinese squad. The entire team of Korea is coalescing at this point, and
Faker is behind them. They're going in. MLXG's in the front. Uzi again leaps back. That's 1 kill, 2 kill, 3 kill, almost 4 as the Call of the Forge God gets the knockup. 4 members go down. Keen, the last survivor, will die as Korea gets aced and China slam dunk onto the Baron.
And that was an amazing play from Xie. He got absolutely everyone with his ultimate. The entire team was slowed down. If they tried to run away, they would have been disarmed, and it became a massacre. Faker had a great position into the team fight. There was no way that Uzi was going to be able to run away from the situation. But he stood and he fought, and they killed the entire Korean squad.
Despite an attempted beautiful flank from Faker, getting behind them, landing this slow. Like you said, Xie finding all 4 members with that steel cage, the Iron Ring cage match. to lock it down, and Korea just could not stand up to the damage that this Ezreal is doing. Immediately, the inhibitor follows. The mid tier 2 has been broken by Xie in the meanwhile. He's not going to finish off the middle inhibitor, but the minions finish off the turret, and that's an easy pickup for the next push because they are still close to 3/4 of that Baron duration.
Yeah, and the Chinese team was only up 5k at that point. I don't think anyone expected it to be such a massacre and for the damage to come out so fast. We saw that Ruler did not even get a chance to use his ult, didn't get the Feather Storm at all, and just simply died off of the CC's chain from Xie. So, you know, Xie once again coming up big in these crucial moments and showing why he took the spot over Xiaohu, who's originally from RNG.
Exactly, the 5-man RNG roster.
To compete at this stage in the Asia Games.
Massive performance from China, as they're also now going to finish off this final Ocean Dragon just over the 35-minute mark, so they don't have to worry about that final Elder Dragon until quite late in the game, but they've still got a lot of time on this Baron buff. At the 36-minute mark, they're pushing in the minion wave towards the inhibitor. Let Me is prepping the wave bottom, doesn't quite have the teleport yet. So there could be a bit of an opportunity for the Korean squad to look for a quick flank. But China not taking any chances. They push the wave up, they move as a unit, they collect under the tier 2 and start breaking down Korea's base.
The bottom line is Korea cannot take a 5v5 whatsoever. Perfect flanking position got completely massacred. So they need to find picks before this type of siege actually even happens. If the Chinese team is in this position, there's no way that they aren't taking an inhibitor.
Yeah, the Korean roster doesn't stand a chance. Call of the Forge God sets it up. Knockup is only going to find Core JJ, but that buys enough time for the inhib to go down. MLXG thinking of leading the way over to that final inhibitor because super minions are rushing in through the top lane. A minion wave is still pushing bottom, and they're even collecting the minion wave mid lane. This Chinese roster is not taking any chances. It's constant pressure onto the base of Korea, and if they need a pick to start to open up the game, they're not getting the chance to find one.
Yeah, definitely. You could see Core JJ and Ruler posting up in the mid lane before this push. They did not get the correct gamble. Actually, the Chinese team switched over to the bot lane side, and they were just late for the rotation. They knew they couldn't contest. They probably have to do now, or it's going to be 3 inhibs.
That Baron Cannon minion finally breaks down the 3rd inhibitor. Full duration on those inhibs as they were all taken down within a few waves of each other. And now they're pushing onto the Nexus turrets. It's now or never. Korea need to draw the line in the sand and make their final stand. But they are losing so much at this point. You've got to wonder, are they going to just sit back and passively lose the game? Or will they try to step up against this Chinese squad?
It has to be this wave. I think that China's going to go all in. They have 3 super minions right now, right here at the enemy base against only 1 tower. So once these minions go, I think the Ornhorn's going to come down.
That's exactly it. Ruler's the target. He leaps up. They manage to find MLXG. They're trying to find the pick, but he is still alive. He goes golden as Core JJ goes down. Meanwhile, the Xie is diving into the back line while Uzi is just happily finishing the game. Doesn't even care about the team fight as he's caught in the Hextech ultimatum. Peanut diving into the back will drop down to another kill from Xie, who is dancing around the edges of this fight with Uzi still alive, with the rest of the squad still standing. They're even diving the fountain to finish off the kills. The Nexus crumbles and China take the win over Korea.